Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be architects, but not of buildings. We're going to be architects of meaning. We're going to dive into the amazing invisible structure that lets us build these huge complex ideas out of simple little words, a blueprint you're using every single second without even realizing it. So let's jump right in. So right away, here's the big puzzle. You are reading this sentence and you're understanding it. But think about it. You've almost certainly never seen this exact combination of words in this order in your entire life. So how do you do that? It honestly feels like magic, but it's not. It's all about that architecture. There's a really powerful system at play that lets us create and understand a practically infinite number of new sentences. All right, so here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to look at the foundational blueprint. Then we'll put up the structural framework. After that, we'll explore some of the hidden rooms and secret passages in our sentences. We'll check out some of the quirky custom features, and finally, we'll see why this whole building project matters so much. Okay, first things first. Every great construction project has to start with a solid foundation, right? Well, for language, that foundation is one simple, beautiful rule that pretty much everything else is built on. And here it is. It's called the principle of compositionality. Now that sounds super technical, I know, but the idea behind it is incredibly simple. It just means that if you want to understand a sentence, it's not enough to know what the words mean. You also have to know the rules for combining them. It's like you don't just get the Lego bricks, you get the instruction manual too. The meaning comes from the words plus the rules. Now, this is the more formal academic way of saying that exact same thing. For the experts who study meaning, the semanticists, this idea is everything. This is our blueprint for the rest of what we're going to talk about. So, with our foundation in place, it's time to actually build the framework. This is where syntax, the rules about word order, comes into play. And you're about to see just how powerful this framework really is. I mean, think about it. The way we arrange words is what gives a sentence its structure, its integrity. It's the difference between a coherent idea and, well, just a jumbled pile of verbal bricks. If you change the arrangement, you can literally change reality. And this example just perfectly shows what I mean. We have the exact same four words, but just by swapping two of them, we create two completely different worlds. One is a tragic but, believable news headline. The other? Well, the other is a very, very different kind of headline, isn't it? That's the magic of word order right there. But what's really cool is that this works in the other direction too. Here we have totally different structures. One's active, one's passive. We've even got extra words in there, like is and by. But because we all understand the grammatical rules, we know they're describing the exact same really unfortunate situation for that tourist. Okay, now for the really fun stuff. Sometimes our language's architecture has these weird quirks. Sometimes a single blueprint for a sentence can actually lead to two totally different rooms, two different meanings. It's called structural ambiguity. Take a look at this sentence. It seems pretty simple, right? John saw the boy with the telescope. But wait a minute. Who has the telescope? Is it John using it to see the boy? Or is it the boy who happens to be holding one? The sentence itself actually leaves it open. And the key here is that both of these interpretations are 100% grammatically correct. The little phrase with the telescope can either describe how John saw, or it can describe the boy himself. It's a sentence with a secret passage that can lead to two different places. Here's another quick one for you. If I say old men and women, what do I mean? Am I talking about men who are old and also women of any age? Or am I talking about old men and old women? The structure's ambiguous. We'd need more context to know for sure. So this compositional blueprint we've been talking about is incredibly powerful, for sure. But it doesn't cover all the weird little additions and custom features that have been built into our language over hundreds of years. Sometimes you just gotta throw the blueprint out the window. And that brings us to idioms. These are the phrases where that whole principle of compositionality just breaks. You can't figure out the meaning by adding up the words. You just have to know the special collective meaning. They're kind of like prefabricated rooms in the house of language that you just have to learn how to use. This is the classic example, right? The phrase kicked the bucket has a totally understandable literal meaning. I mean, you can picture someone actually kicking a bucket, but it also has this other non-compositional meaning that has absolutely nothing to do with feet or buckets. And just when you think you've got it, there's another whole layer on top of all of this called pragmatics. This is all about the space between what you literally say and what you actually mean in a certain situation.
It's the difference between the architect's drawing and how people actually live in the house. You hear this, and you get it instantly. You don't take it literally. You don't start picturing someone sitting down to a horse-sized dinner. Your brain uses pragmatics to understand that this is an exaggeration. It's hyperbole. What the speaker is really communicating is just, I am very, very hungry, even though the literal meaning is way more extreme. Okay, so we've taken a tour of this linguistic house, right? From the foundation all the way to the quirky decorations. But why does any of this architecture matter beyond just helping us talk to each other? Well, it turns out this blueprint is one of the most important and maybe quietest inventions in human history. And its influence is absolutely massive. This basic idea of building complex meaning from simple parts using strict rules, it's not just for talking. It is the absolute bedrock of formal logic. It's how every single computer programming language works. And it's the puzzle that scientists are trying to solve with artificial intelligence. Just think about that for a second. The exact same fundamental process that lets you know that a tiger eats a tourist is a completely different reality from a tourist eats a tiger. Well, that's the same core logic that lets a computer run a piece of code. It's the same architecture. It's just building with different materials, creating complex meaning step by logical step, from the bottom up. And that leaves us with one last, really fascinating thought. We can teach an AI the rules. We can teach it the strict architecture of compositionality, but can we ever really teach it the exceptions, the idioms, the sarcasm, the pragmatics, the jokes? As AI gets better and better at understanding the blueprint of our language, will it ever truly understand the messy, beautiful, and sometimes illogical way we actually live inside it? Something to chew on. Thanks so much for watching.